How can people seriously say Wii is better than PlayStation 3? When I saw that on YouTube, I was nearly sick in a bowl.
Coverage on IGN, but today I'm here to give you the final word on Excite Truck for the Nintendo Wii. The name Excite Truck might sound familiar to anyone who's played a Nintendo system in the past, and that's because it's lifting its namesake from a classic Nintendo game called Excite Bike. Excite Bike was all about using your turbo to take air off jumps.
Isn't that exactly the same vehicle selection as MotorStorm, but half the graphics? Wish Sony would think of something original.
Adjusting your bike in midair, landing without losing your speed, and that's really the case with Excite Truck. It's a launch title, so it suffers from launch titleitis. It's lacking a few elements that fleshed out games usually have, but for what it is, a first generation game, it's a really good racing game.
Did he say first generation? There's me thinking we're in the next generation consoles now.
You take the Wii remote and you tip it on its side and you hold it like an NES controller. You tilt it left and right to control your vehicle left or right on the track. When it's in the air, you want to tip your vehicle forward and backward by tilting the controller forward and backwards. Like any racing game, the idea is to come in first, but there's the added incentive in Excite Truck to earn points by doing specific things on the track. You can take out your opponents by driving into them. You can drift around turns. You can perform tricks in the air. And the more intense these moves are, the more points you get. There's a trick system in Excite Truck where you can perform spins in midair by whipping the controller left and right after a jump, but it seems really kind of tacked on. It's necessary to win the race with these tricks because they score you points, but it just doesn't feel natural when you're playing it.
Hey, this is Chris Roper from the IGN PlayStation team, and today I'm here to talk about MotorStorm. The PlayStation 3 has been out for a handful of months now, and it's only just now finally getting some of the big titles we've been waiting for, like Virtua Fighter 5, Formula 1 Championship Edition, and now MotorStorm. MotorStorm first made a big splash back at E3 a couple years ago when the PlayStation 3 was first announced, and ever since that initial trailer, fans have been really hyped for the game. Sony's been saying all along that the game would eventually get up to the point of how it looked in the trailer, and while that's not true, it does contain all the chaos that was shown there, and it looks fantastic, and it really, so far, is the system seller for the PlayStation 3. Now, the big selling point of MotorStorm is that the whole game basically takes place in the dirt, and more specifically the mud. Vehicles can actually deform the mud in real time, leaving up sloppy trails, and if a big truck goes through and leaves a nice tire mark, then the motorcyclists have to deal with what's left over, basically, in its wake. Now, the mud isn't only a visual thing. While it looks really cool, and the game really does look fantastic, it actually changes the way that you play the game. And the courses have been designed around this, so you'll find multiple pathways where, say, in the beginning you'll start and there'll be a ramp heading up top over some hills, and ATVs and bikes will want to go up there. The path is a little harder to navigate, but it's actually a little bit longer than the rest of them, but it's safer, basically, for bikes and ATVs. Where down on the bottom, the big trucks go through the mud, take their time, but it's a more straightforward path, and they can basically run into each other, knock each other off the walls and such. Now, if the bikes try to go down low in the mud, then they'll be slipping and sliding through the mud, and the trucks will take them out. And vice versa, if the trucks or buggies or some of the bigger vehicles try to go up top, they actually won't be able to make some of the jumps, and they'll fall down, and they'll basically lose a lot of time that way.
Here's a good example, and it actually references a brand new move in the game. What you couldn't do before in any Zelda game is run while swiping your sword. But you can do it now, and it actually feels really good as you run through, say, a grassy field, and you're just basically going back and forth with your Wii remote, and it's slicing everything in front of you. It's a simple addition, but it goes a long way.
The journey is a dramatic one, and we fit in the dramatic elements with the gameplay ideas and design the whole experience around that.
I think it's important to remember here that Zelda Twilight Princess is really a GameCube title that's been ported over to Wii.
Nice going there, Nintendo. Porting old GameCube games over.
Ported over to Wii, ported over to Wii, ported over to Wii. That said, it is one of the prettiest titles to hit Nintendo's new system, it really is. And it's really varied and exceptionally complex. Whether you're riding Epona through Hyrule Field or mingling with the people of Castletown, It feels like a living, breathing world. The scope of the landscapes are immense too. Anywhere you can look, you can ride to. And oftentimes you'll see some temples you haven't been to looming in the distance.
I do see it as a first step in a probably a long journey of a new dramatic art form. Up until PlayStation 3, we've not been able to represent characters realistically.
An angry face without these kind of wrinkle marks here on the nose and everything just isn't an angry face. We are striving to create the best facial performance seen in a game.
This is capturing performance. This is driving digital creations through acting performance. When you're directing and you're creating a world in the digital realm, there are no restrictions in a way.